Just Andre. Thank you for the super chat. Just Andre. I think that's your fourth or fifth of the night. Either way, can't see you. Just Andre writes, who's better, DK, as in DK Metcalf, or Terry? You talking about the better wide receiver as a whole? It's DK. If you're talking about route running and all of that stuff, it's Terry. But Terry's not 6'3", 230, 6'3", 6'4", 230 pounds and runs a sub 4.4. You can't coach that stuff. So DK is the better receiver. But if you're talking from a technical standpoint, route running and doing the little things, then that's Terry. But DK Metcalf, I think he might have had 1,400 yards receiving last year. Let's look up old DK Metcalf, shall we? And see what he did last year. Because I imagine he put up some ridiculous numbers last year. DK had 1,300 yards receiving last year. Okay. Conversely, Terry wasn't, I think Terry might have been close to 1,100. Let's see. Terry McLaurin and his stats. Terry was at 1118. So, I mean, the numbers are comparable. DK had 900 yards in his first year. Terry had 919 in his first season. DK had 1303 in his second season. Terry had 1118. So they're not that far apart from a yardage standpoint. But the physically imposing nature of DK Metcalf is what separates the two. Would I trade Terry for DK Metcalf? No. I love Terry McLaurin. I love his attitude. I don't worry about Terry having a sideline blow up like DK Metcalf had last year. Terry's the perfect guy for this team. He's a leader. He's a consummate professional. He's the kind of guy you want on your team when you're trying to change a culture. And he's a damn good football player at that as well. So, no, I wouldn't trade him for DK, but who's the better receiver? DK Metcalf's the better receiver because he's 6'3", 230, and runs a 4.3, 4.40. That's why. So, yeah, DK is the better receiver, but give me Terry, though. Give me Terry still. That's my guy. I'm biased. Obviously, give me Terry, but DK is the better receiver. I'm going to keep it a buck. Farrah Cody says, first of all, thank you for the super chat, Farrah Cody. Greatly appreciate you. Farrah Cody writes, who's the better receiver if you put Terry with Wilson? LOL. Yeah. Not necessarily. I mean, I think Wilson does a great job of giving guys an opportunity to make plays down the field. No, there aren't many quarterbacks in the league that throws a better deep ball. What has been one of the knocks on Terry is that he doesn't separate vertically well. Chris Cooley's thing on Terry is, for as fast as he is, he doesn't separate vertically. Think about the last time you saw Terry separate vertically on a DB and catch a deep ball. I know when it was, do you? It's not like our quarterbacks were missing him like Case Keenum did in week 1 of 2019, and he's wide ass open. And nah, teams weren't allowing Terry to do that. Dallas in week 7 was the last time Terry got vertical on anybody. Now, we're not going to turn this into, a Terry, if this, if that, because I'm not going to sit here and try to shit on Terry. Terry's a hell of a wide receiver. But Russell Wilson has nothing to do with DK Metcalf being 6'3", 230, running a 4.3, 4.40 or whatever the hell it is. Ridiculous time. The man he just tried to qualify for the Olympics at 230 pounds. Are you serious? And it's crazy to me that people were clowning him for not winning. And I'm like, you do understand that every dude he's running against is like 5'10", 5'9", 160 pounds. And this dude is literally keeping up with them. What are we talking about? Like, these guys are track athletes. He's a football player. He looked like a football player out there. Anyway, I digress. I always said that DK landed in the perfect spot because he wasn't a great route runner. Still isn't a great route runner. And Seattle's offense with Russell Wilson allows him to just be who he is. So that was the perfect place for him. Is he putting up those numbers here in Washington? I don't know. Maybe not. But he's big, he's fast, he's physical. That translates anywhere. Okay? Anywhere. See Calvin Johnson. You can say, well, he played with Matthew. He didn't have to play with Matthew Stafford. He was big, physical, and fast. He would have been good anywhere. If you're big, physical, and you can run, that shit. Look at DeAndre Hopkins. For years, he was stuck in mediocrity in Houston with bad quarterback after bad quarterback. Brock Osweiler. And what's the dude? Oh, shucks. Tom Savage. And hell, he might have even got some Ryan Fitzpatrick. He may have. I don't know. He might have missed Fitzpatrick. But that didn't stop him from putting up ridiculous numbers. Josh Gordon. Flash. Gordon. That 1 year in Cleveland. He had like 3-4 different quarterbacks. The man that went for like 1,400, 1,500 yards and led the league in receiving. Big, fast, physical. That translates. So, I mean, we could talk about the quarterback that he has, and he has a great one in Russell Wilson. But we can also really focus on what is the real subject matter at hand. The man is 6'3", 230, and runs a sub 4.4. That travels. You can stick him just about anywhere, and he'll figure it out. And that's the thing that we failed to neglect to realize with him. Because I didn't like him coming out of Ole Miss. But he landed in the perfect spot because of the offense they run. But I digress. Anyway, Terry's a good receiver. Okay? Terry's a really good receiver. Period. End of discussion. Just Andre, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Just Andre, windshield wiping. I think we're on number 6 or 7. Really appreciate you. Just Andre, who writes, do you think Terry is an all-pro wide receiver and a top 10 wide receiver? He's not top 10 right now. I think he has a chance to be an all-pro wide receiver, maybe 2-3 years down the road. But you know how hard it is to be an all-pro in this league because there's only 2 all-pro receivers on there's only 2 all-pro receivers. I think maybe 3. They might go with a 3 wide receiver set. It's so hard to crack that. And there's so many good receivers in the league. It's going to be hard for him to crack all-pro status. But top 10, yeah, he could definitely be top 10. I think he could take that leap this year, honestly speaking. I mean, you look at what DK Metcalf has done and Terry, they're right there. I just gave you their stats. They're right there. And as a lot of you pointed out, he's got Russell Wilson, and what has Terry had? So, looking at what Terry's done with less around him too, I mean, there's no Batman to Terry's Robin. He hasn't had one. DK Metcalf, for a stretch, wasn't even the best receiver on the Seahawks team. That distinction went to Tyler Lockett. So there's always been some other stuff out there. Terry's had nothing. Nothing. It's just been him. So that's something else to take into consideration. Teams knew, hey, we just got to stop 17. So we can put cloud coverage on him and make sure that he doesn't break our back deep. If he wants to have 7 catches for 82 yards, knock yourself out. What he won't do is have 7 catches for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns. He can have 7 catches for 82 yards and no touchdowns. We won't lose the game that way. But what he's not going to do is he's not going to kill us and hit us for 7 for 140 and 2 scores. Whereas DK Metcalf hasn't had to worry about that because he's got another guy to take away coverage. So there's a lot of little things you can add into that discussion. But at the end of the day, Terry's on his way to becoming a top 10 receiver. He's on his way. Well on his way. I have faith in him. And is he that right now? No, I don't think so. I mean, let's make a list of 10. We just made a list for Fitzpatrick. Let's make a list for Terry and see where he is. So, DeAndre Hopkins, obviously. Stephon Diggs, obviously. You got Keenan Allen, in L.A. Don't want to forget him. I always do, so I want to name him early. Let's go through the teams because I'm going to forget somebody if I don't. So let's go through the divisions real quick, real fast. NFC East. Terry, we're going to leave Terry out of this. So Dallas, I don't think Amari Cooper is in front of Terry. I'm sorry. That's just me, personally. The Eagles don't have anybody. The Giants don't have anybody. They got Kenny Golladay. So is Kenny Golladay ahead of Terry? Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. That's debatable. But let's go to the next division. NFC North. Devontae Adams, 1. Allen Robinson, 2. Vikings have Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson might already be better than Terry. Sorry, guys. Sorry. So Justin Jefferson. Adam Thielen's really good. I think he might be better than Terry, too. I wouldn't take him over Terry, so no. Let's just leave it at Justin Jefferson. So that's 3 in that division. The Lions don't have anybody right now. Let's go to the South. Mike Evans, that's 4. Would you take his running mate, Chris Godwin, over Terry? I wouldn't. Some would. But I'm going to go with Mike Evans. The Falcons have Calvin Ridley. He's ahead of Terry right now. Sorry for those of you out there. And the Saints have Michael Thomas. The Panthers don't have anybody that's ahead of Terry. So that's 6 right there. Let's go to the NFC West. You have the 49ers, nobody there. You have the Rams, nobody there. You have the Seahawks, DK Metcalf. They're kind of on level playing field, but I'm going to put him ahead of Terry because he had better numbers than Terry last year. I get it. He played with Russell Wilson. He had help, all that good stuff. I'm still going to put him ahead of Terry. That's 7. DeAndre Hopkins, 8. So now we go to the AFC. We'll start with the AFC East. Stephon Diggs, 9. Dolphins, nobody. Jets, nobody. Patriots, nobody. So that's 9. You go to the AFC North. Steelers, nobody. Ravens, nobody. Bengals, nobody. But Jamar Chase could be, but I'm not counting coulds. We just talking about dudes that are. And the Browns. Are you going to count Odell Beckham? I'm not an Odell Beckham fan, but when he's healthy, we know what this guy's capable of. I'm going to count him. I don't personally, but if we're making a list and we're going off of body of work, Odell Beckham. That's 10. AFC South. Colts, nobody. Jags, nobody. Titans. Or would you put A.J. Brown ahead of him? Julio is definitely ahead of him. That's 11. Would you put A.J. Brown ahead of him? Let's see what A.J. Brown has done in his first 2 years. A.J. Brown is interesting because he's got some drops, though. I don't think I would put him ahead of Terry. I think I would take Terry over A.J. Brown. But just for shits and giggles, he's had back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons to start his career. Now, he barely got over 1,000 both years. 1,075 last year and 1,051 in his rookie season. But, hey, 2 back-to-back 1,000-yard years. So, A.J. Brown, let's just, for the sake of this discussion, say yes, he's better than Terry. I don't think he is, but that's 13, okay? So we're going to go with worst case scenario. That's 13. And we're going to throw Kenny Golladay in there too, since we're going worst case scenario. That's 14. All right, so now we're off to the AFC West. Tyreek Hill, 15. Raiders, no. 16 would be Keenan Allen. And the Broncos have Courtland Sutton. Would you consider him better than... Courtland missed all of last season, but the year before that, he was outstanding. Let's look at Courtland Sutton's numbers. All right? Because the year before that, he was, 1,112 yards, and then in his rookie season, he had 704. So, no, he's not better than Terry from a stats standpoint. So, we'll leave him out. So, Terry right now would be 15th in the league at receiver right now if we were just going rough estimate. 15th in the league, Terry McLaurin would be. So in a year or two, and maybe with a better, stable, quarterback or just better weapons around him, Terry could be a top 10 receiver. I see it in his future. I think we're going to see a big leap in Terry's, if he's healthy, a big leap in Terry's production this year with help around him and a quarterback willing to give him opportunities down the field, which he didn't have last year because Alex Smith wasn't giving anybody opportunities down the field. So, yeah, I think that there's a chance that we could see Terry in the top 10 in the not too distant future. Thank you for the super chat. Just Andre. But in saying that, you understand that he's really far away from being an all-pro. He's got to turn in the type of season that Stephon Diggs just turned in to be an all-pro. And have a lot of guys have down seasons to climb all the way up to the third receiver, one of the top 3 receivers in the league. But top 10 is very attainable, and I think he'll have it here shortly. LouieTeeNetwork.